Hi friends, and welcome back to Spreadsheet Warrior Online. We got our hands on the new stats for the weapons that are coming this month, namely the light autocannons, the Proto autocannons, Thunderbolt missile launchers, Magshot and AP Gauss, silver bullet Gauss, the beam laser, and the plasma cannon. So let's have a quick look at what these weapons will be in terms of stats. And then we're gonna have a little preview video posted by Teos where we can see how these weapons look and sound like in action. So let's go. For the Inner Sphere, we'll have light autocannons, modified versions of the Inner Sphere AC2s and AC5s, sacrificing range and cooldown for increased weight savings. And a little comparison here. I just did this for one weapon, but you guys can do that for other weapons yourselves. mdwo.nav-alpha.com has all the information on those weapons. Now, Light Autocannon 2 is going to be 4 tons, 1 slot, 2 damage per round at a 1.5 cooldown, optimal range at 540 meters. The Light Autocannon 5 tons, 2 slots, 5 damage per shot, 2 rounds though, so it's going to be like a 2.5 damage per shell, and a cooldown of 2.15 and an optimal range of 450. So, 1.5 heat, by the way. If we look at these values in terms of damage per second, DPS, heat per second, HPS, and DPH, damage per heat, you will see that the Light Autocannon 5 that we're looking at right now is currently sitting at 2.33 damage per second, 0.7 heat per second, and 3.33 damage points per 1 heat generated. That's comparative with an AC5. The AC5 clocks in at 8 tons over 5, so almost twice as heavy, takes twice as many slots, does the same damage, but only shoots 1 projectile, has a lower cooldown though, 1.4 seconds versus 2.15 seconds, higher optimal range, to be precise, that is 230 meters more optimal range, or I would say almost 50% over the Light Autocannon 5. And we have a heat of 1.1 per shell. So, if you compare these values, damage per second, 3.57. Heat per second, 0.79. Damage per heat, 4.55. So, the AC5 is going to give you 50% more damage per second almost than the Light Autocannon 5. Same thing goes for damage per heat, but it's gonna clock in at twice the slots and almost twice the tonnage. So, that means that these weapons now are uniquely suited for either mechs that have a lot of hard points, but you didn't know what to do with these hard points before because you couldn't fit those heavier weapons that the Inner Sphere normally has. Or you could use older builds, change those autocannons to light autocannons, and then add other weapons on top. That's definitely possible. What you will have, of course, every single time is you're going to bring down the range, because that is the one drawback. Range and cooldown. That's the drawback that you pay. Alright, the clans get Proto Mech autocannons. These are modified versions of the AC2, AC5, and AC10. Also sacrificing range and cooldown for lighter tonnage. You got the Pack 2, the Pack 4, and the Pack 8. Clocking in at 3.5 tons, 4.5 tons, and 5.5 tons. 2 to 4 slots in total. Pack 2, 2 damage. Pack 4, 4 damage. Pack 8, well, you guessed it, 8 damage. The interesting thing is that the Pack 2 and the Pack 4 is going to be 1 projectile only. The Pack 8 is going to be shooting 2 rounds, just as the AC5's shooting. Cooldowns ranging from 1.25 seconds on the Pack 2, 2 seconds on the Pack 4, and 3 seconds on the Pack 8. That's actually quite a bit of cooldown. If you compare this now to a clan AC10, of course, it will be lower. Interestingly enough, the Pack 8 optimal range is going to clock in at 270 meters. That is AC20 range. So, that's interesting. But there's a couple of interesting quirks right here that we need to talk about real quick. Max ranges, Pack 2 is going to be at 1200 meters. Pack 4 at 900 meters, so that's going to be the same as Light Autocannon 5, and the Pack 8 at 540 meters. Damage per second values from 1.6 damage per second in the Pack 2 up to 2.6 in the Pack 8. Heat per second, 0.6 per weapon to 1.0 per weapon. Damage per heat is going to be the same throughout the board, 2.67. So, looks like the clan guns are actually going to be more effective in terms of heat. However, the Inner Sphere weapons are going to be more effective in terms of damage per second. That is interesting. Although, 5 tons light autocannon 5. Pack 8 is 5.5 tons. A little bit more slots though, but also a little bit more damage as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of builds we see here. What is interesting to me personally is, yes, you've got a short range weapon here with the Pack 8, but the velocity is at 1200. So these will still be quick projectiles. Oh, by the way, light autocannons are gonna have a red bullet color. The packs, Proto Mech autocannons, are gonna have green bullet color. Then, everybody's favorite, people have been asking for these for so long. I don't know why, because I hate lock-on weapons, but some people like them. So here we go, Thunderbolt missiles. They are going to be similar to LRMs, but carry a much larger payload per missile. They fire in lower arcs and they have a lower range. Also slightly more vulnerable to AMS than their LRM counterparts, so that basically means they have not as much health compared to what a comparable swarm of LRMs would be doing. Thunderbolt 5, Thunderbolt 10, 15, and 20, that is also going to be their damage values. Thunderbolt 5, 5 damage, and Thunderbolt 20, 20 damage. It's always going to be 5 damage per missile. Thunderbolt 5, 1 missile, 5 damage. Thunderbolt 20, 4 missiles at 5 damage each for the 20 damage volley. Optimal range equals maximum range is 630 meters. And there's going to be a min range of 150 meters where it only does half damage. Damage per second values range from 1.44 on the Thunderbolt 5 up to 4.65 for the Thunderbolt 20. Damage per heat is quite interesting. It has lower damage per heat values than the Proto ACs right here, but as you get bigger with the launches, the damage per heat also goes up, as does the heat. Ghost heat, by the way, if you're looking at this table, which of course will be linked in the video description, at least the official part of it, you will also see that Ghost heat is heat scale limit. So you have to think of this, and I know it's weird, but I have to say this because people don't understand this. This number that you see, -1. So the heat scale limit for the Thunderbolt 5 is 5 launchers. This is where you trigger Ghost Heat. That means you can shoot 4 at the same time without triggering Ghost Heat. I know it's a weird system, but this way it will make sense. You can shoot 2 Thunderbolt 20s at the same time without incurring Ghost Heat, because the Ghost Heat limit is 3. There you go. Also interesting, the velocity of these missiles is going to be freaking slow at 190. So these will be crawling across the battlefield. It's also going to be some spread included. And the missile color will be red. We'll have to see how these work. In these days, lock-on missiles have huge problems in the game. So unless you have somebody that gets locks for you with tags and whatnot, or maybe Narco, whatever, using these is going to be potentially a giant pain in the ass. We'll see. Next up will be Magshot and AP Gauss. Magshot for the inner sphere, AP Gauss for the clan side of things. Smaller Gauss rifles designed for anti-infantry, which of course we don't have in the Mechwarrior Online. Unlike the larger counterparts, these weapons don't require charge up before firing. Unlike the larger counterparts, no charge up before firing. So this is like tiny damage Gauss that doesn't require charging. They come in at 0.5 tons, do 2 damage per shot, add a cooldown of 2 seconds. So basically, the DPS of both of them is 1 damage per second, 4.5 tons, and the max range of 540 meters, optimal range 270 meters. Is this potentially going to be a competitor against machine guns at this point in time? Remember, machine guns will be hit scan. This is going to be a projectile, but it's traveling at 1700 per second, so it is going to be very fast. But these are Gauss rifles, guys. There's explosion damage. That means that if your Maxshot gets crit, you get the same fun interaction like with Gauss rifles. Goodbye side torso. Or goodbye mech if you are XL. So, projectile-based machine guns is basically what I'm reading here. And machine guns that shoot like bonk, 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 bonk. Right? Damage per heat is nice. Damage per second, 1 damage per second. I mean, it's basically machine gun levels, right? What's a heavy machine gun? 1.4 damage per second? At 1 ton? So yeah, this is basically interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting because it has a higher optimal range. We'll see how people use these. Interestingly enough, the inner sphere version is going to take 2 slots, whereas the AP Gauss will only take 1 slot. So you can expect piranhas and whatnot to run around with this stuff very, very soon. Blue bullet color. Then we get the silver bullet Gauss rifle. Modified Gauss rifle with spread and a much shorter cooldown. So basically, what the Hyper Assault Gauss used to be on the clan side, now we get it for the Inner Sphere side, but with, well, lower damage than what the Hack 20 ever was, but at 15 tons. Silver Bullet Gauss is basically going to be a Gauss rifle that sacrifices accuracy and pinpoint firepower for a lower cooldown. You would of course have to go ahead and compare this now to normal Gauss now, but you're gonna get about like what, 30% or so faster cooldown. So DPS of course will be higher. Damage per hit will be the same as with the Gauss rifle. Velocity 2200, fast bullets, spread, yeah, it's gonna be there, and of course explosion damage if it goes poof. It's gonna be interesting to see if this is gonna be any use or not, but I think some mechs that like to use Laser Vomit might go for the Silver Bullet Gauss, but we'll see. We'll see. The lowered cooldown might sync up quite nicely with some Laser Vomit builds. In the interview it was said that the Silver Bullet Gauss, says chat, not in the ERPPC heat skill limit group. That is a really good point, because it also says Ghost Heat NA, Ghost Heat Multiplier not available, Ghost Heat Family not available. So you can shoot this with PPCs if you wanted to. That is nice. Will definitely open up interesting builds. Definitely will open up interesting builds. Depends on how quickly the Silver Bullet also instantly deploys, right? That's the next thing. I think we'll see that in a second. The Silver Bullet is an instant shot. It's a shot that spreads like an LBX. Exactly that. Good. So, good point, Harbinger. Thank you. Let's talk about beam lasers. Beam lasers are clan experimental weapons meant to emulate large X pulses, firing a continuous beam. So not quick pulses, pop, 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 but one continuous beam. So basically, this is your Kamehameha melter ray. Clans only, 6 tons per weapon versus 7 tons for the large X pulse. 2 slots, 5 damage per second, 3 heat per second, optimal range 600 meters, max range 900, ghost heat 3. So you can only shoot 2 at the same time without incurring ghost heat. Strong ghost heat multiplier as well. 5 damage per second, 3 hits per second. 1.67 damage per hit. Weapon is not impacted by duration or cooldown quirks because it is a continuously burning laser. Duration doesn't do anything and cooldown doesn't do anything for it. Also, there seems to be flamer heat mechanics working for the beam laser as well. You will see that in a second once we show the video. I just want to go over the stats first before we show the video. Then, last but not least, plasma cannons, lighter variations of the clan ERPPCs, dealing a marginal amount of heat damage to targets as well. The keyword here is marginal amount of heat damage. This is not going to be a long-range flamer. You won't be able to overheat max at long range with this. It's extremely unlikely, unless somebody's 99% heat when you hit them. 3 tons per weapon, so it's in with the light PPCs. Optimal range also like light PPC, 3.5 seconds cooldown, 6.5 damage. It's 4.5 and then 1 and 1 to adjacent components, so 6.5. I just put that in there because otherwise we couldn't properly calculate the values, which I forgot to do. Ha! So we can get to do it right now. So damage per second equals damage divided per cooldown. And since this is 3.5 seconds, boom, there's a DPS value. 1.86 damage per second. Then we have our heat of 7 divided by the cooldown, 2 heat per second, and our damage per heat is gonna clock in at 0.93 damage per heat, which is not very good. Because it's an energy weapon, right? Makes sense. Ghost heat skill limit 4, so we can shoot 3 at the same time. So basically, if you bring 9 tons of plasma cannons, then you're good. And you're going to generate 0.25 heat per shot, so 0.75 heat in a volley of 3 if you hit the torso component. Because if you hit a limb, you only get spread to the side torso. You don't get a spread to another component. So the heat damage is basically, you can think of the heat damage that gets applied, 0.25 divided by 3, 1/3 gets put on the main target that you hit, and then another third each gets hit to the adjacent components. And if you hit the arm, the only adjacent component is the side torso. So that's why that doesn't happen. So aim for CT or aim for side torso if you want to have the heat damage on target. Velocity 1650 is gonna be nice. Beam color will be green. There's also ammo values that are listed. I'm gonna hide myself here for a second so you guys can see that. Basically speaking, the damage will be around 100. About every bit will be around 100 damage per ton of half ton of ammo, and about 200 damage for every full ton of ammo. So they're fairly consistent in this. It's all normalized. It makes sense. Right? Okay. So far, so good. We've talked about all the stats. There's some interesting stuff coming on, guys. We'll see how we can incorporate this into existing builds or make completely new ones. It's definitely gonna shake up the meta a little bit, and we'll see if any of these end up being really, really good weapons. We'll try it. Let's have a look at how those weapons actually look like. This is the clip from Tiers. And we're gonna see all the weapons being shot. Here we go. This is Thunderbolt 5, followed by Thunderbolt 10. 2 missiles. As you can see, they get launched at the same time. This should be 3 projectiles. Yep. So it's not a sequential launch. It's like in a sphere LRMs. It just shoots it at the same time if it can, right? Thunderbolt 20. Poof. So if you have a lock on a target and you can quickly dart from cover, shoot and hide again, this could be really nice for the Thunderbolts. Because they hit quite hard and quite, I want to say, the grouping is not bad. Right? This is 230 meters and it all hits CT or side torso, right? Light EC2. Also pay attention to the sounds, by the way. I think they did a really good job on the sounds. This is Light AC5. Sounds good. That's the Magshot. Pew! I like it how it always discharges this tiny sabot right there for the Gauss rifles. I love it. That's nice detail. And the silver bullet Gauss rifle. Do you see that? So it's not like hacks where it shoots the bullets one after each other, the projectiles. It shoots all of them at the same time. It's like basically like an LBX projector almost. Sounds cool. Sounds nice. Seems to have some good, nice, tight grouping. Yeah, that's not bad. I could see combining this with ERPPC. Totally. Not bad. Alright, here we have the clan toys. Proto AC2. Proto AC4. They sound good. That sounds beefier than it actually is. That's the AP Gauss. I like the Maxshot on the Innisphere side better. This doesn't sound as good. Okay, now we get the plasma cannon. Looks great, sounds great. This is gonna be a fun weapon to use. Now comes the beam laser. What I want you to do, guys, as it's getting used, I want you to pay attention to the laser bar. Because look at this, it says infinity right here. You've got infinite rounds, of course. But this is not a cooldown bar. This is a build-up bar. And you will notice that it's gonna have the same mechanics as a flamer. It will build up a yellow bar until the bar is full. Then the bar will turn red, signaling that you're overheating that thing. And you will see it in the heat rising exponentially in the heat bar down here. Watch it. 0% heat, everything's fine. Bar is yellow. Now it's in the red. Now watch the heat climb. You see how it climbs faster and faster and faster? So you gotta be careful with that when you're using this weapon.
Heat level critical.
So, lots of new toys coming our way. I think we can be cautiously excited. We can definitely be happy about this. I think you did a good job with the visuals, with the sounds overall. As far as the values are concerned, guys, this is something that we will all find out together. Some of the stuff might be perfectly on spot. Some of the stuff might be complete garbage, and some of the stuff might be insanely OP. That's why we're testing it live. We're all guinea pigs, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. It's new stuff. just be aware, some of it's going to be great, some of it's going to be not so great. I'm going to try to tell you guys what is what. And of course, then it's up to PGI and the Cauldron to take the feedback, take the data, and then keep refining it. And I have no doubt that they will have to do that, and they will do that, of course. So we can rest assured. Gonna have some nice new toys to play during 2024. What's your favorite weapon so far? What are you most excited about? Let me know in the comment section. This has been TTB saying peace. Did I say peace? We're playing Mechwarrior Online. There is no peace, there's only war. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, supporters. Couldn't do it without you. If you want to join Team TTB, check out the join button right here on YouTube, super thanks button in the comment section, or of course the links to Patreon or the merch store listed in the video description.